The chance that you could wake up one morning to be far wealthier than you were the night before.
I think this is a super cycle on steroids that we may be about to face, and if we built it for investors, that's why we are primarily different. It's an absolute thrill to be back.
So new viewers won't know who you are. Who are you? And why are you relevant?
Well, that's a good question. I trained as an accountant after going to university, and I got a little bit bored with that and decided to do a bit more investing, and came across the natural resource sector in 2006, 7, 8, 9, and grew to love it like so many people do. And the excitement, the adventure, the chance that you could wake up one morning to be far wealthier than you were the night before kind of grabbed me, and bit by bit over a period of years that I experienced the sector and got more and more excited, I got more involved and eventually started running companies, and I've been involved with I think 9 or 10 companies that have been listed in the market, mainly in London, but some other overseas jurisdictions too.
Which companies would you say have been your greatest successes?
Well, I think anything where you find something of real value, obviously, geological discovery, or where you find a project that's locked into another company or held privately that hasn't really moved forward, and you're able to take it on with an acquisition and then move it into a far more valuable state. And we've seen that over the years with a number of different opportunities. When I was CEO of Metal Tiger, we made a major copper discovery in Botswana. With Greatland Gold, I refinanced and restructured that company, which went on to find Havieron, a major gold deposit in Australia, and that company is, multi-billion pound valuation now, so a huge success. With Power Metal, when I was Power Metal Resources as CEO, I acquired the Pilot Mountain project in Nevada, which went on to be the lead flagship project of Guardian Metal, which is now listed on AIM, and very large valuation. So I think it can be by discovery geologically, or it can be by acquisition corporately, that you can really have massive valuation uplifts, and those are the successes. Now there's a lot of other work that goes in that doesn't deliver the same kind of outcomes, and you have to kiss a few frogs sometimes to find what you're looking for. But I think in our business it's down to a number of simple factors, and that's having access to money, having access to the right people, and also having access to the right opportunities.
To do it once is something, but to do it again and again and again, and to achieve success again and again and again, requires something different. How have you managed to achieve that?
Well, I think it's just narrowing down the simple factors. The people are probably the most important thing. You have to have access to the right technical people, geologists, of course, in our industry. You have to have access to the right managers that can run these companies and raise capital in the right way. And you have to just work like a dog, really. You hear this all the time. Elon Musk, of course, quotes regularly about how his work hours and how he just keeps going, and really that's the only way. I'd like to say there's some magical component, but it's not. It's kissing a few frogs, it's narrowing down your odds, and it's been an interesting 15 or so years, being involved with this type of thing. And I think that as long as you stay focused on the people, the access to money, access to opportunities, and you're prepared to work harder than anybody else, you have a great chance at making a discovery or finding an asset that you can corporatize in a better way than it has been so far, and demonstrate the value.
Great. Do you think director salaries are fair? Do you think that there's a better way to remunerate directors that would align them better with shareholders?
Yes, I think you have to pay people a reasonable amount of money. They need to live a life, but they also need, as managers, to appreciate that this is an entrepreneurial sector. So those salaries cannot stretch too far. Of course, as any other investor, I look at companies and I have different views about whether management are competent, capable, and certainly worth the amount of money. And I think overall, without wishing to be too harsh about it, the level of compensation compared to the talent that's on display at many of these companies is questionable. And I think it's time for a new dynamic where quality managers as board directors can come in to companies, can drive those companies forward, get a sensible salary to live, but also have proper access to the equity upside in a way which doesn't affront the market when they're able to crystallize some of the value that they've created. You want that, because I think a lot of people don't realize that managers sometimes, their only way to actually access their equity and the value they've created is leaving companies. It's a crazy way to be if you have a quality capable manager having to step down because dare he or she sell any of his position after generating so much value for shareholders. They are vilified for it, and it affects not just their day-to-day life, but also their ability to work comfortably again in other opportunities in the future. We need a different dynamic with regard to directors generating most, I would say, of their wealth from equity appreciation, but done in a manner that shareholders fully understand and do not feel that they've been done over in the process.
2 decades in this industry, how would you like to be remembered?
I'm not too concerned about being remembered as such, but I suppose from a personal perspective, it's quite important to feel that the work you do has value. In the stock market, it's making investment returns as an investor, or as a company manager, a director, making returns through the companies that you manage. It's nice to have successes. I mean, look, as an investor or as a manager, you can make lots of money by never finding anything. As long as you're in the companies that move up in price from time to time, then you can do very well. But it's good to be perhaps involved in those companies that make major discoveries or do things with existing projects that crystallize and demonstrate the value. For example, Guardian, a metal taken forward pilot mountain from a project that didn't really have much value in one company, putting it into its own wrapper, listing it on the markets and seeing a dramatic increase in value is a great thing. So yeah, I'd like to be, I suppose, responsible for as many discoveries as possible and as many corporate revaluations as possible.
You know. So we're here in Atomic Metals' new office. What is Atomic Metals and what was it founded to do?
Okay, so Atomic Metals is a pre-IPO vehicle, which means we are in the preparatory stages to list on the capital markets in London. We recently raised money, around £700,000, that would help us pay for that process. We have to employ corporate advisors, including lawyers and accountants, auditors, various people to help us compile the documentation that goes into an admission document or a prospectus, depending on which market, that enables us to list and for our shares to be traded publicly by investors generally.
So you're aiming to list Atomic Metals on the stock market. Why should the average retail investor?
Well, it's interesting because I don't expect them to. There are lots of investment opportunities in the London markets. And it's my job over the coming weeks and months to articulate why our business is different. I've been a resource investor for 20 years, junior resource investor, and a small company investor for far longer than that. And one of the things that I've noted over the years, or a number of things I've noted over the years, are the way that the shareholders seem to come last in the order of priorities when it comes to junior companies, in terms of how they finance themselves, how they promote themselves, the actual work that they do, and so on and so forth. So what I hope is going to happen is over the coming weeks and months, as investors start to find out about what we're doing, understand some elements of this really different business model. It is quite starkly different from what you may be used to as an investor when you're buying into junior resource companies, and then appreciate why we are different. And it covers a number of different areas of operations and strategy and financing and so on.
In your head now, what are going to be the key differences between you and another?
Okay, we will be, as I mentioned, quite starkly different. If you look at how we are proposing to finance ourselves, yes, we're doing a traditional pre-IPO financing. We're doing will be doing a traditional IPO financing, which is where we raise money as part of that listing. When we come on market, we come on with extra cash, as it were, to help us to pay for our operations. But we're also embodying within that financing what we call a firework warrant structure, which means that there are warrants, but they are half warrants at ever higher prices, quite considerable price premiums to the listing price that we're expecting to list at. And what that means is that if we're able to do what we would like to do, which is to drive our share price considerably higher, the company has sensible quantity of warrants at ever higher prices that will bring additional capital into it. And what that does is it takes away the need, as we often see, for a company, if it has warrant exercises at much higher prices, it takes away the need for them to go and undertake the same degree of secondary financings, which means raising money in placings that investors really don't like to see.
We've spoken about the ballooning of some of the directors' salaries. How does this model help deal with that issue?
By fixing sensible salaries. Everyone has to eat. Everyone has to accommodate themselves. People need holidays. You need to pay people a reasonable amount of money. But we're in an entrepreneurial space. Big salaries should not form part of the way in which these companies operate. It should be sensible, professional level salaries. So that's what we'll do. We will fix and publish salaries on our website. The vast majority of companies wait until they have to publish, so they put the director salaries in the annual report, which is often published 6 months after the end of a financial year. It's very easy to bury salaries and delay their publication. Our salaries will be on the website. It's not just salaries, it's bonuses. There will be no bonuses paid in Atomic Metals PLC. And it's expenses. It's how the directors spend money. So how do they fly? Where do they fly? Where do they stay? What do they eat? Where do they go? And how much money do they spend on restaurants and all sorts of different things? We will publish director expenses so that investors can see not just salary and confirmation that there are no bonuses, but also what directors are spending of the company's resources on themselves in respect of business activities, yes, but is it reasonable? Is it fair? And is it proportionate to the financial capability of the organisation?
Obviously, Atomic Metals is different. The model is completely different. How are communications going to be handled differently to your standard?
Okay, well, we're going to put a decent budget behind it, which you would be amazed how these junior resource companies don't understand the importance of effective communications out to market. So we will be spending a reasonable fixed amount of money against proper communications across a spectrum of media and in very innovative ways. What I'd like to happen is that Atomic Metals appears in front of investors, serious investors, on a daily basis across various social media and other communication mechanisms. So it becomes a mainstay on investor monitor lists, and so that people are watching for our news, and those that are already invested have a proper array of communication from the company so that they understand what's happening in the business on a daily basis. So if you go to when we're a listed company, you go to our website, you'll be able to get access to all the latest information. You'll receive direct communications if you're registered on email, and we will make sure that we keep you fully informed.
So, some people might question your timing. Why are you choosing to list a new vehicle now?
I think in everything in life, and particularly in business, people question why you do things and when. I've done a lot of work over the years in refinancing and restructuring businesses, listed businesses that haven't performed particularly well. I've done a fair amount of time in creating new companies that then end up listed, and I think at the moment the market is almost crying out in London for high quality driven junior resource exploration vehicles. And I think the newness of a brand new vehicle, the opportunity and the potential that comes with a completely fresh approach with no legacy, building from scratch from startup all the way through into full-on operations is intoxicating. Generally within the sector, we've got a unique opportunity. We have a commodity sector that's seen underinvestment for decades. There isn't the supply of new metal sources. There hasn't been the discoveries made in decades really on the scale that was required for the world that we have today. And the demand, I know, is in question sometimes with concerns of global economics and so on, but we have AI dramatically taking over the world, and that requires so much resource, which is why the big corporations are buying into nuclear power generation. But it's not just uranium that's required, it's copper. To lay the connectivity and the electrification. There are so many demands on the energy metals in general, whether that's copper or silver, and ultimately our world is a bit more unstable than it has been in the past, so the need for gold as a form of security is always going to be there. I think demand is going to be robust. So if you have robust demand, you have a devastatingly poor supply, you're going to have a rise in commodity prices. And if that happens, then the major producing companies go up in price, and the juniors go up in price far, far more. It is a leveraged effect on the junior exploration companies in bull cycles for commodities and for natural resource mining and exploration. So I think we are in the best position probably in my investing lifetime, which sadly is nearly 40 years. And possibly ever. I know 2008 there was a big Chinese super cycle. I think this is a super cycle on steroids that we may be about to face, and if that's the case, then this is the place to invest.
What is the principal reason why Atomic Metals is...
Because we built it based on what investors need to see, not based on an idea that we then try and sell to investors. We built it as a company that pays its management modestly, links their cash reward ultimately to share price performance, publishes salaries, expenses, so that people can see how much cash is being drained out of a company by the board. We built it so that there's proper communications and an investment in communications to people wherever they are, and in a manner where they know that all of the money that they've invested in that business is being spent wisely on active operations, not on excess expenditure. And we decided to go and build a company that didn't invest is a loose word, waste vast amounts of money on an IPO process that simply was not going to deliver value once the company was listed, by coming in a manner that reduces our IPO listing cost, enabling us post-listing, when we are trading, to use that money for things that can generate value in the business. We built it for investors. That's why we are primarily different.
As we move towards a listing, I'm sure there's going to be more and more information out about this model. But one final question before the end. Paul, are you happy to be back?
It's an absolute thrill to be back, in fairness. This is a magical space. You need the right kind of energy, and you need the right kind of frame of mind to run a company successfully in the junior resource space. And the escape velocity that you need with the quality of the company's activities, its access to finance and its ability to communicate what it's trying to do to make a success is quite a difficult combination. You look at the success stories in recent times, Oliver Friesen, Guardian Metal Resources. You look at Gervais Heddle with Greatland Gold. You look at, there are lots of examples of amazing opportunities in our space, and there will be many more. And I would like to be, once again, part of the value creators delivering significant share price, capital gain returns for investors. To be able to go to bed at night and wake up in the morning significantly wealthier because of a majorly positive piece of news is a wonderful sector to operate in, and to be part of that again from a managerial perspective is a wonderful opportunity.